Hi everyone, thanks for accessing the part one of our digital divide discussion and information. And as we do this, I want you, for this part, I actually would like you to go ahead and open the Google form that I have so that as I proceed through this piece of the information, I'm going to have you kind of read some information here and then put your answers and thoughts and things into a Google form. So you might take the time right now. You could stop the video now and then go ahead and access the Google form on the list and have both windows open, and then I think you'll move through this a little bit faster. My other suggestion would be I would try to get this one completely done in one setting, and then you can do part two and so forth at a later time. But this one, I wouldn't go halfway and then stop. I think I would just get it done, because otherwise you're going to lose your answers to the Google form. So make sure you probably have about a half an hour here to finish this piece, okay? Okay, so I will proceed. I'm going to start this with a scenario to kind of get us into context of talking about kind of the digital divide. And the digital divide is actually just bigger than the word itself. And as we think about educational opportunities that we provide our students, we have to think about how we give those opportunities to students. So I'm going to use athletics for my example. In high school, I participated in a lot of athletics. Even when I was an undergrad here at Iowa State, I was in a lot of intramurals. I know a lot of you are involved in at least, whether it's athletics, dance teams, whatever, you've been involved in something of which was probably not school, okay? Something outside of school. And in athletics, when you think about it, the coach provides instruction on how to play the game, and sometimes the coach provides instruction to everybody. So if I'm playing basketball, I'm doing dribbling drills. Everybody does it. Everybody runs sprints for conditioning. In soccer, I might be doing drills, ball handling drills again. I may be trying to practice my shot. In track, I might be running sprints. Okay, so everybody's kind of doing the same thing in a lot of the practices. However, in a lot of times, what happens in athletics is coaches like to give certain players, certain participants, more one-on-one attention because they need more help. They need to get better. In high school basketball, the coach always helped me with my free throw shooting. It wasn't good enough, and so that coach gave me individual attention for a while, whether it was before practice, after practice, even during practice. When others were able to do other things, they gave me extra time to get a better shot, get a better form, and it did improve my free throw shooting. Okay, so think about that scenario and think about that as we apply it to our classrooms. When does the teacher work with all the students kind of in the same format and give them kind of all the same kinds of things? But when do we need to maybe change things up where some students get a little bit more attention than others? And is this okay? Is it fair, and so forth? So that kind of sets our context for it. Okay, so I want you to kind of think about, what do you think right now is the difference between equity and equality? And you can put that within the context of education, your life, whatever. But what does equity mean and what does equality mean? Okay, so with that, you can what I'd like you to do here is pause the video. Now go to your Google form and just answer question 1, okay? And then once you get question 1 answered, leave it open so you don't lose it, and then come back to the video and then start it again. Okay, welcome back. And hopefully you had some interesting thoughts about, what did equality mean to you? What does equity mean to you? And as you might have Googled it to see if you could find definitions of it, and that's fine too, fair game. But if you did happen to Google it, this is an image that often comes up for these topics, and I think it visually illustrates the concepts very, very well. Okay, um, equality is represented at the left. The boys are attending a baseball game, looking over the fence, and equality is kind of like that athletics and that coach when you give everybody the same thing, right? So if we look at that, we gave the boys on the left one box to stand on. They were given equal instruction or equal support, right? But as you can see, the problem there is the first two boys, that was a great strategy and it worked well. But the third young child is still at a disadvantage. Even giving him equal support, it's not enough. He still can't watch the game, okay? But equality, we talk about that a lot in our classrooms, okay? We look at the visual on the right, equity. In an equitable situation, not everybody gets the same thing, but the result is everybody gets to see the ball game. And so if you think that again in the context of a of the of education, which scenario here do you want to work from, or should you be thinking about in your classroom? I would say that we're, as educators, we need both, but we need to realize equality always isn't enough. And so we need to take an equitable stance where we may have to give some students more one-on-one attention, more resources, more books or whatever than others. And maybe, again, I guess that's what we have to contend with. That seems okay, because if everybody has the same success, then it's going to be a good thing for all. Okay, so keep these visuals in mind. I think that they're very, very important. So here is another way to think about it. We think about fair, and I know you've heard the comment, life isn't fair, and that's true, I think. Depending on what context you're in and so forth. But I think when we think of equality and equity, think of it as, fair isn't always everybody getting the same thing. Okay, we think that is fair. I worked with a school district, really an area school district, who they built the exact same schools. All their schools had to look the same. All classrooms were set up the same. All resources were given the same because they wanted to be equal. And they at that time thought that was being fair. But I'm not sure it was, because equal is still, as the visual illustrates, it's good for some, but it's not enough for everyone. Okay, so here fair is really everybody getting what they need in order to be successful. Okay, so getting everything they need in order to be successful. Okay. With the digital divide then, so that leads us into the digital divide. A lot of people think this is just having technology and not having technology. And actually, that isn't totally true anymore, okay? When you think about that, still is a huge problem, okay? And that is, it's not equal, and it's really not equitable as well, but it's not the only thing. If I look at the definition of a digital divide, and notice I got this from Wikipedia, it's an economic and social and educational inequality between groups broadly construed in terms of access to, use of, and knowledge of information and communication technologies. ICT is just another word for um, technology. So economic, social, and educational inequality. So when you wrap those around, that's not only access to technology, okay? There's other things involved, and we'll talk about that. So kind of think digital divide is huge, and it's you know, we may not think, okay, in my one classroom, you know, I'm not going to be able to make a difference, but you can, okay? You can, in terms of moving us forward to providing not only equal or equality, but more importantly, probably equity, okay? So what I have for you are two scenarios here. And the first scenario, same teacher, Mr. Burns is a third grade teacher. I made the scenario in the context kind of typical of a lot of Iowa classrooms. Now do know that some are more diverse, some are less diverse. I have 35% students of the students are getting free and reduced lunch. That's higher in some, lower in others. That figure usually denotes free or like socioeconomic status, okay, of the school district. So kind of read through this scenario, and what I want you to do, this particular scenario has 30 laptops access in their classroom with wireless and so forth, and then what he does with it. What I want you to do is I want you to examine this scenario, and then I want you to tell me what are the issues related to equality and equity. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next screen. So just go ahead and pause the video, then go to question 2 on your Google form and list at least 2 examples of equality in that scenario and 2 examples of equity. Okay, and then you can back up the video here so that you can see the screen and read the scenario. Okay. Okay, welcome back. Here is scenario 2. And scenario 2, context is the same, but this time they use a one-to-one device, okay? So being iPads, and the context of which he uses it is different, okay? So again, what I want you to do is go ahead and go to the Google form, question 3, and answer now with this scenario, what do you see as a couple issues related to equality? How is equality being represented? And what are the issues dealing with equity that the teacher is going to have to deal with? Okay, so same thing. Pause the video, go to question 3 on the Google form, and then on this one, you guys, after answering question 3, go ahead and submit the form, and then this video will be concluded. Okay, so after you're done, submit the form, and then this will be done. But again, if you need to access that scenario, obviously again to read, just push the video back, okay? And then after this, when you're ready, you can go to part 2, because I have follow-up on kind of these and some more information about the digital divide related to technology.